Beloveds, happy Tuesday. I'm here with a reflection from Peter Wallace's Getting to Know Jesus Again, Meditations for Lent. And so, for the Tuesday, the third week in Lent, here is the scripture reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verses 29 through 31. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. And even the hairs of your head are all counted. So do not be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows. Peter Wallace writes, "What can birds teach you? Doesn't God care that your friend seems to be ignoring you? Doesn't God care that you're struggling to finish that important project? Doesn't God care that your job is becoming a huge hassle? Doesn't God care that your family members are fighting? Doesn't God care that you don't have a clue what to do next with your life? Doesn't God care that your loneliness sometimes suffocates you? Yes, 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 and forever yes. Jesus tells us that God knows every hair on our heads, every ache we feel, every glimmer of hope that bubbles up, every fear that gets its hooks into our souls. And God cares about them all. When life gets tough and painful, that's precisely the time to keep trusting the only one in the universe who has our absolute best interest at heart. God's goal is to see you become all you possibly can be as a human being on earth. Sure, you'll never be perfect. The growth process never stops this side of eternity. And it's often painful and scary. But that's all part of being molded in the image of God's Son. Do you feel that process happening now? Do you feel that process happening now in these challenging times? Do you feel that God is with you in becoming the best possible version of yourself? Or are you feeling totally overwhelmed? We are invited in this reflection to write down on a piece of paper all those things that are messing our life up right now. It could be a very long list. To write down on a piece of paper all those things that are messing up our lives right now. And after writing down those many things, to read the scripture again. Matthew chapter 10, verses 29 through 31. To read that again, and then to give each one of those items we've written down to God in prayer, knowing that God cares. And at the conclusion of reading that list off, offering each item up to God in prayer, to then rip up the paper into tiny pieces and to throw it away. Have you had this kind of invitation before, to write things on a piece of paper, to offer them up to God and then rip them up and throw them away? Or to write things on a piece of paper that you would say to someone else and then rip it up and throw it away? And you think to yourself, well, I've had the thought, so the writing down really isn't necessary. apparently, neuroscientists have said that in the actual writing down of things and ripping it up and tossing away, something different happens in our brains. Something different happens in our system. There is a different kind of release after having done that physical work of writing it down and ripping it up. So, I invite and encourage you this day to think of those things messing up your life, write them down, offer them to God, rip them up, and let it go. And see what kind of peace or calm or release comes over you. I came across this picture the other day. Do you know who that is? That's Bishop Barbara Harris. She just died last week. She was the first woman ordained a bishop in the Anglican Communion. Look at that face. It's a great face. And the quote under that picture says, "The God behind you is greater than the problem in front of you." The God behind you is greater than the problem in front of you. Those are great words to reflect on today. So, blessings, dear hearts. I'll be back with you again tomorrow. Be well and God bless.